Pleasant good morning. A pleasant good morning to one and all present here. After 4 successful sessions from 11th to 14th May 2020, we have come to the last day of our national level EFDP on the changing faces of language and literature, a digital perspective. I welcome all my beloved participants without whom such a thing would never have been possible. I welcome the resource person of today, Dr. Narasimha Murthy, Assistant Professor, Department of English, School of Engineering, Presidency University, Bangalore. Dr. Narasimha Murthy holds a doctorate from Dravidian University and has been teaching language and literature in India for more than 3 decades. He has presented and published a number of papers in national and international conferences and journals and has been a resource person in English for Azim Premji Foundation, Bangalore. He is an enthusiastic learner and much loved by his students. It is an honor that you are with us here today, sir. May you be blessed with more and more laurels in the years to come. Thank you. I now request Dr. Narasimha Murthy to take over the session on strategies for effective listening, the need of the hour. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Where should I go to share my PPT, ma'am?
Sir, you can see the option like present now.
I did not get that,
You can see your mic symbol and video symbol, right?
No, it's not there.
Are you doing from your mobile phone or laptop, sir?
Laptop, ma. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Present now. Okay.
We request the participants to kindly mute your video and audio. We may face bandwidth problem. So please present now.
Is it coming? The PPT is there?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It's presenting.
Oh, wonderful. Okay then. Okay, now is it clear now?
Better you give the slideshow, sir. It will be very visible.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Narasimha Murthy from Presidency University, Bangalore. And I should thank the Department of English, NGR Educational Institutions. And I was wondering what is the connection between Chennai and Bangalore. But on the first day when I saw Dr. ACS No, immediately I understood I live in the neighborhood of ACS Engineering College and Rajareshwari institutions. So I was happy to be a part of this EFDP because I know that it will give me an opportunity to learn and refresh myself. And before I start, I would like to share a few things about this listening and its experiments that I conducted long ago, which gave me some inputs into this component of listening. It was in 2005 and 6 academic year. I was teaching in Eritrea, Africa, which gave me some insights into listening, and some senior professors there, asked me to take up listening and conduct a small project, which gave me an opportunity to know and to learn more about the. So now I'll start my presentation now. See, usually our people, whenever a child borns, the first thing that the child senses, that uses, is the tongue. It will feel that sense is the first thing. Even before that or after that, it is the listening. Probably the first and foremost communication skill that a child gets is listening when it comes to communication. And when you look at the four language skills, listening, speaking, reading, writing, listening and speaking are the natural instincts that we develop. As a child, we started listening, it was natural. As a child, we started speaking, or rather, we started producing sounds, that was also natural. But when it comes to the reading and writing, they are, according to me, cultured instincts. What I mean by cultured instincts means, developed instincts. That means we have learned to read, we have learned to write. Now, whatever it may be, these two skills are developed later. These are not natural. Now, any child that is born will start listening and will start speaking. When I mean speaking, it is only producing sounds. And when the child will automatically pick up the sounds in the atmosphere or in the environment that he grows up, and he starts producing that sounds. So now I'll talk about the learning outcomes of these my sessions, because everything is outcome based learning. We have been following OBL in all our institutions. So here, you are going to learn about, you explain why listening is important, and also the listening and effective listening. What is the difference and how do you define that? And also we are going to learn about the steps and stages of listening as a process, listening process. And also we will learn about types of listening. And also at the end, we are going to conclude with strategies for effective listening. So this is the structure of my thing is. But let us look at the basic communication profile. Again, I will come back to LSRW only. See, when it comes to, I have divided into three things here: the one learned, and the extent used, and the extent taught. It's unfortunate that listening is the first thing that we use and the first thing that we learn. But when it comes to teaching, it is the fourth step. And most of our curricula, takes listening, rather, we'll take it for granted. We'll take it for granted. Speak and reading. Speaking is the second thing that we do. Reading is the third in order, and writing is the fourth. And it's unfortunate that in all our educational system, right from KG to PG, writing is the first. Even when we test our students, we test in writing. And fortunately, the system is changing. The system is changing, and oral and oral, has been given due importance in the recent past. And this is a very good development according to me. Because I was in Africa, there also it was the same thing. And when I visited the US last year before, I went to schools and checked. There, uh, the system is different, but still, writing gets prominence even there. It's very unfortunate, but it's a fact. Let us look at the objectives of listening. Why do we listen? Why should we listen? There are four objectives that I consider important here. The first one is not to learn. What do we learn? We will see later. And to increase one's understanding. And also to advise or counsel. So when somebody is talking to us, we listen to understand. And also to relieve one's boredom. For example, listening to music, listening to something like that. These are the four broad areas, objectives of listening that I take as important. And now, what is the importance of listening? Why should we listen? Why should we listen? The first thing, that, we build a relationship. It happens with, in our infancy stage only. When you are listening to those who have kids, for them, I can relate very easily. The moment a child starts making a sound, it can be ta, it can be pa, it can be ma. The moment it says a sound like ma, the mother will say, oh, he is saying amma. The moment he says ta, the grandparents will say, oh, tata. Tata, he said tata. And sometimes if it is, look at the wonderful thing about that, if it is grandparent, he says tata. If it is paternal aunt, he says, no, he said atta. So, and it adds to success. We'll see how it adds to success during the course of our presentation. And also, it creates a climate of support. Yes, listening is a very, very important activity that builds a wonderful climate of support in our working atmosphere. And also, it encourages honest expressions of concerns. See, you can express your concerns, and when people listen to you, definitely they'll be very happy to listen to you. And at the same time, it's a sharing happens. It fosters creativity. See how it fosters creativity. We will see that, and also it can lead to higher profits. When I say profits, it is personal as well as professional. So when you listen to your colleagues, you listen to your relatives, and definitely, you will develop a bond there, and it happens. And also, this is one of the most crucial skill to become a successful individual. And without effective listening, communication is incomplete. So, in order to be a good communicator, one must develop effective listening, or at least active listening. So now, why listening is important, is an attentive listener, an active listener, is stimulates better speaking by the speaker. The moment I become an active listener, the person who is speaking to me will be encouraged. And also, an active listener learns more than an indifferent listener. For example, how to pronounce a word properly, how to use intonation, word intonation as well as sentence intonation, and where to place stress in words and sentences. All these things can be developed. Rather, we have developed these things by practice listening in our childhood days when we learned language. And also, when an active listener always makes the meaning clear even when the speaker is not very clear, vague speaking. And also, most important thing in the last is, an active listener will always detect prejudices, assumptions, and attitudes. So an active listener will always look at the tone of the speaker, the body language of the speaker also. And here, I would like to differentiate between hearing versus listening. What is hearing and what is listening? It's very simple to begin with. Hearing is the first step, and hearing leads to listening. So, hearing is only a biological process. It's only a biological process when you listen, when you receive the sounds, when you receive the sounds to your receptacles in or the ear drums, as we call. This is only the first stage of listening, the beginning of listening, where ears pick up the sound waves. Ear picks up the sound waves, and these sound waves will be transmitted to our brain, to our neurons. And it is only a sense of hearing, one of the basic five senses of hearing. But when it comes to listening, listening is a process, an active process, because we will be receiving the signals, interpreting the signals, evaluating, and also responding to a message. So you can see that hearing is just the biological process, whereas listening is an intelligent academic process. It involves four activities like receiving, interpreting, evaluating, and responding. And when it comes to active listening, it's not just the listening. Active listening, it is the ability to recognize another person's feelings and reflect on those feelings. Again, here the body language, the tone, the attitude of the person, all these things, the listener will be focusing on the person. It's also the meaning, understanding the literal meaning and also the intended meaning, and also evaluating a message before the listener responds to the speaker. So here the listener is actively working while the speaker is speaking. That means it's very simple. A listener had to be very, very attentive, very, very focused, and he should listen with care. And then how does effective listening happens? Effective listening is an active process. As I told you, it is not only listening, many other activities will be going on inside the mind and the brain. Now it's identifying the sounds of speech and processing them into first, it begins with a syllable, then the sound, then a word, then phrase, and then sentence, and then paragraphs, and then the whole article. So it is not just listening. Listening is such an important activity. It goes on simultaneously. It requires a lot of focus and attention. And most of the time that we spend, is on listening. The one skill that we practice throughout our life is listening. Whether we want or not, we will be listening. And it needs a lot of practice. So now let us come to the definition or the meaning of effective listening. What is effective listening? What is effective listening? Effective listening is the message sent by the speaker should be received as he intends it to be. The same message should be decoded. What I mean by decoded here means comprehended, understood as it is. We say, verbatim. We say verbatim. So taking, for example, here when you listen, you will listen only to the words. But when you listen, you also pay attention to the tone of the speaker, the attitude. You will watch the attitude of the speaker. So taking all these into the considering all these things, how we decode the message, it should be the same. So effective listening occurs when the message sent by the speaker is the same message decoded by the listener. For this, we need to practice certain skills. We have to develop certain skills, and they are very, very interesting skills. So effective listening happens when you in the process of analyzing sounds. You're going to analyze. That's why I said, syllable, word, phrase, sentence, paragraph, all these things. And then that's how we organize them into recognizable patterns. This is what I meant by the word, phrase, and interpreting the patterns and understanding the message by inferring the meaning. Inferring the meaning. Usually, meaning is constructed by the reader, says the reader's response theory. Here also, the listener will create his own meaning. But when you want to make it effective, you should be able to be impartial, objective. I'll come to that point, how listening process happens. See, most of our problems, is with, misunderstanding, is misunderstanding the message. It is the ineffective listening or the lack of complete listening or active listening leads to many problems in our personal life as well as professional life. So now we'll see some of the types of listening. So far we have seen what listening is, what is effective listening, how active listening, all those things. Let us look at the types of listening. See, basically, I would like to consider only 4 types of listening are very important for our students. Again, when I'm speaking, I always keep in mind the students. Because as we teachers, we learn and we are going to transfer and transform the students' life. So, discriminative listening. This is identifying the difference between various sounds. It is not just the identifying the difference, it is actually to detect the underlying message. See, this discriminative message listening helps us to understand what is the intention of the speaker. Or, for example, is there any hidden message? Is there hidden agenda of the speaker? So it is the underlying, it is like reading in between lines, reading in between the words, reading in between the, listening in between the sounds. So this is discriminative listening. And the next one is comprehension listening. Here, we attach meaning to what is being listened to. I mean, taking the whole paragraph, the whole speech, and then coming to a conclusion of understanding. It includes comprehending the non-verbal messages, non-verbal cues, the body language, the facial expression, the gestures. All these things will give you, or rather, the emotions, the feelings of the speaker. All these things will come into place, coming to act, when you have this comprehensive listening. And the next one is evaluative listening. See, if we listen to somebody, we will try to judge. We are going to analyze. We are going to analyze the message. We are going to see how logical one finds it to be. Here, it's almost like, we are going to start cut the message into pieces and see how things will take shape. Usually, this evaluating listening is done by judges. It is done in law schools and law profession, where how reasonable, how you can produce documents or evidence for your argument. So now I will take up one very important type of listening, critical listening. Critical listening, because I always tell my students that they should develop critical listening in class. So when this is why I call this critical listening very crucial for our children. So it is just, it begins with hearing what someone says and also identifying the major ideas, key points, arguments. Not only that, it helps you to solidify your opinion. So it is not just listening, it is also forming your own opinion. Or when you are forming your opinion, you are going to analyze, you are going to look into the pros and cons of the uh, things, and then you will judge and you will come to form an opinion, your point of view. The when you engage in critical listening, the goal is to analyze what the speaker is saying and determine his agenda. Here, the speaker may be telling something, and the meaning may be exactly the opposite. The best example would be the political parties, political politicians. When they speak, their agenda is always hidden. They may not give out very easily. They may not come out very easily. So critical listening is a very, very essential type of listening for our students. And I always insist our students to practice this critical listening, because this helps them to form an opinion about anything, about anything, and about everything that they listen to. So there are a few more types of listening. I'll just touch them. Attentive listening. Here, paying attention to the words. Paying attention to the words. See, in our topic, we are saying something like the need of the hour. Need of the hour. See, all of us, most of us have started, this online classes. Just about 40 minutes ago, I was in an online class from 9 to 9:40 and 10 to 10:40. I was in an online class. And here, attentive listening becomes a very, very important thing. Paying attention to the word, because our it's a virtual world, and most of the children, may not be able, students may not be able to look at us like in a class. There, so they have to listen to the words, and again, they have to derive meaning through the words only. And pretense listening, which our students are very good at doing this. It is more of hearing than listening. It's actually fake listening. I would like to call it fake listening. Only facial expressions, they will pretend, they will act as if they are listening, and the eyes and the face will be towards the speaker. Inside, they will switch off. They'll switch off their ears, and they'll be thinking somewhere else. This is pretense listening, and teachers are very, very good at identifying these fake listeners. Selective listening. Selective listening, taking only the desired part of the message. That means I listen what I like. I listen what I want. So again, this happens with our children. With our children, we will be telling them so many things, and they will listen only to the something that is relevant, something that is important for us, something that they would love to listen. Now, for all other things, they know how to close, how to close. They know how to react also. And intuitive listening. See, this intuitive listening is, silencing the other forms of internal dialogue. See, this intuitive listening is a kind of a philosophical listening. When we go to some gurus, if the guru is genuine, he will make us teach some kind of a meditation where, you are going to throw out everything and only listen to that particular thing, that sound, for example. Like, those who practice meditation, we know that we know that, we would like to go out of that kind of, I don't want to use the word samadhi here, but it takes you to that level. All kind of internal dialogues. Whenever we listen to, some of us, when we are listening, our mind will be somewhere else. We will be thinking something different. So this kind of intuitive listening is a very, very helpful thing in concentrating. And this will help the students to focus. And the last one is appreciative listening. It is listening for enjoyment. And the best thing would be listening to music, listening to music, listening to entertain ourselves, listening to enlighten ourselves. This is the most required kind of listening. And all of us, we would love to have this kind of appreciative listening. And my very good example for appreciative listening, listening to your own children, your own kids, when they're in that formative stage of speech. Especially, in the morning, I was talking to one of my colleagues, and his son, who was 9 years old, was disturbing him. And he was feeling, he said, sorry. Then I told him, no, this is what we call appreciative listening, something that we would love to listen to, that babbling sound of the infant, something that we would love, especially, uh, the grandparents would definitely enjoy this. And that is why grandparents are so close to the grandchildren, because they listen. They have that patience of listening. And now let us look at the steps of effective listening. How can be effective listen develop? How we can develop effective listening among our students? The first step of effective listening is hearing. As I told you, hearing relates only to the sensory perception of sound. It is now, whatever listening, it begins with hearing only. But to to make our learning to be effective, to make it to take it to the next level of effective listening, or listening, it should be done with attentiveness and concentration. See, as an adult, we will not be able to focus and concentrate for more than 45 minutes. That is one of the reasons that most of our classes at the secondary level, is only 45 to 50 minutes. Even in our, as we grow up, our listening with concentration and attentiveness, it will reduce. And some researcher says, it reduces only to 20 minutes. But, as teachers, we have been listening, and only with teachers, we still retain that 45 to 50 minutes of concentration and attentiveness. I'm talking about the other professions, most of them have lost their the duration of attentiveness and concentration for 20 minutes. After hearing, the next step is filtering. It's filtering the heard sounds. And we categorize the sounds into desired or undesired, wanted or unwanted. Now, we will not take the whole message as it is. So this filtration will take place. And here during that filtration, the sense of judgment comes into effect. And also, remember, filtering process is always subjective. That means it is individualistic. So the filtering process, whatever it happens with, most of it happens with the selective listening, listening to only what I want to listen, and retaining what I want to retain. Or rather, what makes sense to me, I'll retain only that part. And all other things, they fly away. They fly away. And I do not want to listen it forever. I do not want to continue, engage myself in listening. So the moment I hear, from hearing to filtering, I will filter, and I will filter and I will keep only that information, that message that makes sense to me. So once I hear and filter, I come to the third stage of comprehension, understanding. In this, three important things happens: absorbing, grasping, and assimilating. As I listen, I'll be absorbing the sounds, the meanings, the effects. I'll grasp and also I will assimilate. That means I will form my own understanding. For this understanding, the listener uses his knowledge, experience, the previous experience, perception, and the cognitive power. So these four things will help him in understanding and comprehending the thing. So after I hear, after I filter, and after I comprehend, I'll come to the fourth step of remembering. So here, we in our neurons, we will store some memory to facilitate in future recall. See, for example, I have read some books on listening and effective listening. And now, when I want to teach that, definitely I have that storehouse. I have that storehouse and I have stored a few things there and I can recall them at any time. I can recall, especially with vocabulary. Whenever I listen to a new word, I'll take down the word and I'll see that the meaning of the word and I'll just say, oh yeah, I must use this word in my next. Whenever an opportunity, whenever I get an opportunity to use this word, no, I want to use this word. I want to recall. So I want to recall that and I'll store that. So after hearing, filtering, comprehending, and remembering, we will come to the last step of effective listening, responding. It happens at the end of communication, immediately after or later, to show that I have received, I have understood, and I have comprehended the message properly. To show that yes, so this responding is a very important thing because that is how responding can be physical. Responding can be vocal. It can be both ways. My body language. I'll just show you. I'll just we'll study this in detail probably in the next slide or so. So here, the stages of effective listening. We have seen the steps of effective listening. Now I'll real listening. I'll take this effective listening as real listening. It has got three basic steps. Hearing, understanding, and judging. So here, hearing is to catch what the speaker is saying. For example, you will be listening to somebody talking to you about zebras. Somebody will be talking to you about zebras. See, for example, he will say that no two zebras are alike. Now, you have heard that. You have heard that. So you can repeat that no two zebras are alike. This is only hearing. When it comes to understanding means you have heard and understand it. For example, you have heard that two zebras are not alike. You can say that, you can understand, I can say that maybe this means that the pattern of stripes in different for each zebra. I was just attending one lecture by a professor, and psychology professor. He was asking all of us, when you look at a zebra, what do you think? Is it the white stripes or the black stripes? White stripes or the black stripes on a zebra. Okay, understanding that yes, the stripe patterns of stripes are different for a zebra. Now I will come to the judging, the third stage of effective listening. When I listen to something, I will start thinking, does it make any sense? I'll start evaluating. And when I'll give this example. So are the stripes black or the white? It can be black, it can be white. How could the stripes be different for every zebra? Then again, you can start associating. One example, the fingerprints, they are not the same. They are not the same. Therefore, when the fingerprints of our own hands are not the same, it's possible to believe that the stripes of the zebra also can also be. It's like association. It's not just judging, association and taking our previous experiences, previous knowledge into effect. We can definitely say, yes, it's possible. We can judge, yes, it's possible that no two zebras are alike. The patterns of the stripes are different. Yes, it's in the same way that our fingerprints differ. The stripes are also different for each zebra. So these are the three stages of effective listening. Now I'll come to the important thing of our session: strategies of good listening skills. How to develop good listening? How can we develop good listening skills? Here and now I'll speak of a few things which are very common to our. Now we can definitely share it with our students. The first one is attention. Whenever you are listening, I do this in my class. I do this in my class. I'll give them a small assignment, not in my class. I'll give it in with other teachers. Teachers will not know that. I'll ask the students. Usually they'll say, this teacher is not interesting. This teacher is not teaching well. We will not be able to understand. I will give them this exercise of attention and focus. Attention and focus. I'll ask them, you just listen to the teacher. The teacher that you are telling that he is not good at communication or whatever. Usually it happens with the beginners. Now students will complain about the beginners. I tell them, give full attention and make sure your mind is focused. Make sure your mind is focused. That means give 100% listening. Just listen. Do not allow your mind to wander here and there. When I say that, it's like, our students are very popular, and I use this with my students: body present, mind absent. So I'll tell them, body and mind both together. Body and mind together, both together. I will ask them to note down their experiences. So it's a kind of a test assignment that I give them. I give them, when I teach listening, I give them this assignment. So I'll make, usually all of them will not do that, but there are some good students who come back, and I get feedback also. I get feedback also. And they say that, sir, definitely there is a difference between the previous class and this class. I will tell them, don't jump to conclusion. Continue for at least 3 to 4 classes, and then give me your inference. Give me your inference. And they laugh at me, but definitely after 3 4 classes, they come out. Yes, sir, you're good, and definitely this works. And so attention and focus are two important things that we must develop to be a good listener. And most important thing, is again patience. We jump before the speaker completes his sentence. We do this. Most of us do this, and our children also, do this. But allow the speaker to complete his sentence, because the most essential thing, the most important thing, that may come at the end of his speech, may come at the end of the sentence, may come at the end of when he stops that. So what happens, when you interrupt him, it looks like you may not be listening. The speaker will judge you are not attentive, you are not listening to him. So allow him, allow, even especially, we teachers, we always do this before the children, before the student complete his sentence, we'll say, yeah, I know, yeah, I know. Now here, we may miss something very, very crucial here. And listen for the main ideas. This is what I said. The main idea may come at the end, start at the end of the talk, or it may be repeated a number of times. And please pay attention to my point is. That thing to remember is, as I have been telling you again and again, the most important thing. Now, all of us have this, what I call, gap fillers. So listen for the main ideas. So this is one of the strategies of developing good listening skills. And the next thing is ask questions. When you think, when you feel that you are not understood completely, just ask. Don't hesitate. Now we have that inhibition. No, that he may feel, he may mistake, he may misunderstand. No, nothing wrong. You clarify it. Clarify it. Most important thing. Make sure you are responding to what he or she actually said. That means here. Now I would like to make a distinction between react and respond. Most of us, we do react, but it is better to respond. See, react is emotional, it is spontaneous, extempore, but response is always, well judged, well balanced. It takes some time before you respond. So therefore, make your response at the after the speaker finishes his sentence, after the speaker completes his thing. Let yourself finish listening. See, this is what happens with our students. You'll be busy thinking about what should we say next. No. So instead of that, pay attention, focus, let him complete. Let him complete. In the meantime, and in the last strategy, I'll give about two distinctions between the listening speed and the thinking speed and the speaking speed. There, these things will become very essential and useful. And so let yourself finish listening before you begin to speak. That means listen completely and then speak. So I told you listening involves different processes. One side
Sir,
will
excuse me, sir. Sir,
yes,
can you show the presentation? Presentation is not visible.
is that not visible?
Yes, sir. Somebody presented their screen, so your presentation went.
Oh, I'll stop it and again I'll share. Is it visible now?
No, sir.
I think it's visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Please. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Okay. Now, give feedback. So this feedback is equally important. I was telling, responding, not reacting. For example, when the speaker is continuously speaking, you respond using your uh, facial expressions, nod, to show that yes, you are very much in the process of active listening. And also you can smile, you can frown, laugh, or be silent. See, here the last phrase is something very interesting for me. Listen with your face as well as your ears. That means your ears, are always open. At the same time, you should be able to get it also. You should be able to express your comprehension, your reaction, your response. Listen with your face as well as with your ears. So, So now I will come to some important strategies for effective listening. As I told you, use thought speed. Usually, people will be speaking with 120 to 150 words per minute, whereas our processing that speech speed will be at the rate of 350 to 400 words per minute. That means the speaker will allow you some gap, some time, some period to process that speech. So you can do that. You can listen, and also at the same time, it can go on simultaneously. It will definitely go on simultaneously. And you can, this is an important strategy for effective listening. You can analyze, you can evaluate, you can judge, and you can respond. So this thought speed, has a very high speed, whereas people, most people speak with only 120 to 150 words per minute. So you can definitely do all the other process in your thought process, and also listening can be improved comfortably. And pay attention to non-verbal cues. I told you the face, the tone, the attitude, the emotions, the feelings, all these things, they convey much before the words. Now, always, I make this, I tell my students, the moment the teacher enters the class, they are very good judges. They judge us so well. They know today the teacher is very serious and they become serious. That seriousness of teacher will be infused automatically. And when the teacher is very lively, they know the class will be very lively class. And if you remain silent, the other person will fill up the gap with useful information. That means use establish eye contact, because when you look at the person, the speaker will become very attentive, will become very cautious. That means you are listening attentively, you are focusing completely. And the next thing, use paraphrase response. Here, whenever we are responding, we will respond in, our response will be bits and pieces. No, you make yourself very clear. So there is no shortcut to effective communication. If you want to use a complete sentence, use it completely. And you remember that you should listen to the speaker completely, and your response should also be equally complete. And remember to avoid speaking more than necessary, because the moment you start speaking, you may deviate. This happens with all of us. We start with one subject and we end with another subject. That should not happen. That should not happen. It should be very, very clear, and speak where that is necessary, and speak the amount that is necessary also. And be mindful. See, when you want, this is one of the strategies, be mindful, especially when it is online classes. Your mind should be cleared of all sorts of distractions. Distractions can be of two kinds, external and internal. See, all of us, we try to avoid external distractions, but internal distractions, like I was mentioning with the intuitive listening, that kind of listening requires a lot of emptying the mind completely, relieving all other kind of distractions, internal distractions like fear, anxiety, or I may not be well. All these things, kind of distractions, we should remove those distractions and completely 100% give our listening. And interruption. When the speaker is speaking, we may interrupt with our body language. As a teacher, we find our students yawning in the class. So that's a clear indication that my words are not reaching him or her. Or the inappropriate words, or unnecessary responses, reactions. All these things will create a negative impact in effective communication. So these things, we should, as a listener, we should take care that our body language should be properly responding, and our words should be appropriate. The clarity and clear things are there. And emotions, bringing in emotions. Emotions are always barriers to effective communication. The moment you become emotional, you are going to construct a very strong barrier to your listening process. The moment you become emotional, your all your energy will be driven there, and your clarity, you will not be clear about what you listen. The moment you do not have clarity about your listening, naturally your response will also be equally disturbed. Now I'll summarize my class or session, you know. So I know I will only read this. I'll only read this. So listening is an active process which includes receiving, interpreting, evaluating, and responding. So when I listen to somebody, I receive the sound, I interpret that, I evaluate, judge it, and then I respond. So I have taken only four main types of listenings as very important types, like informational listening for information, critical listening for evaluation, forming an opinion, creative. When I listen, when I say creative, when I listen to people, so this is how listening as a process, we listen for the pronunciation, we listen for the vocabulary, we listen for the structures, we listen for something that is unusual, something that is very, very unique. So we will try to take that and we will be creating when we produce, when we write or when we speak. And discriminative,
Sir,
yes.
kindly click on your presentation again. Kindly click the presentation again because
Yes, yes,
some
yes.
participant has disturbed in the middle. Sorry, sir.
It's okay. Don't say sorry. No, sometimes we also act like students, no.
Participants, please cooperate. Don't disturb in the middle.
Is it okay
Yes,
now?
sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So, discriminative listening helps us in, especially in personal life. So, whenever somebody is speaking, you can know the tone and the attitude will tell you what is the intention of the speaker. Especially with it happens in our religious congregations, religious congregation or political congregations. You can notice when you listen very attentively, when your listening is effective, you can notice that the speaker has some hidden agenda, the speaker has something different, especially when the speakers become very, very vehemental, when the speaker is becomes very, very active. The irony and the sarcasm are the two things that gives out. Discriminative listening helps you to identify that irony and sarcasm very, very effectively. And this effective listening occurs when the message sent by the speaker is the same as the message received by, decoded by the listener. So this decoding is something very, very important. That means understanding is it as it is sent, as it is sent, receiving it as he intends it to be. So it's an objective kind of listening without any prejudices, bias, or fear, anxiety. So this effective listening is important because it creates a climate of support. For example, when you join a new college, new department, you first listen so that that gives a fairly good idea about the person. So you can know who is a good speaker, who is kind, who is not, and it also encourages an honest expression of ideas and concerns. See, here more than ideas, concerns. The moment you listen to somebody who is very empathetic, you can see that this person has that humanitarian concern, and it fosters creativity. As I told you in the last slide, definitely you can make use of those idioms, phrases, and constructions in your own speaking or writing. We are coming to almost to the end of the session. See, these strategies can be used to become a very effective listener using thought speed. As I told you, our thought speed is 350 to 400 words per minute. So you can listen and also evaluate, judge, filter, and paying attention to non-verbal cues. That means the body language. The body language. And whenever you are maintaining silence, that process, you can expedite the speed. And using a paraphrase response, that means listening to it and respond in a holistic manner, holistic response, and being mindful. Being mindful is paying complete focus and attention is. And this effective listening helps you to achieve the goals efficiently and improves productivity. When I say improve productivity, you will learn new words, new vocabulary, new things. And it's a very, very essential skill. So this is what we say, the need of the hour to stay competitive in our current global scenario. If you want to be in the competition, you should develop effective listening. Unfortunately, this listening is not given due importance in our curricula also. And it's possible with self-examination and self-discipline. What I mean to say is, let us begin practicing this effective listening so that, we feel, we know how useful is it, how effective it is, definitely, we will be very, when we teach our children, it can be very authentic also. Remember, most important thing, great leaders are good listeners. And I'll conclude with the last sentence, which is not in the slide. A good speaker is a good listener. A good listener is a very good speaker. So with this, I would like to conclude my session, and I'll take up any questions if there are. Before that, I would like to say thank you.
Wonderful.
It's
sir.
my pleasure to.
Please take my claps. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shall I start?
Please, Jayamada ma'am, to propose the vote of thanks.
It's my pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making 5 days occasion resounding success. I extend my sincere gratitude to our resource person, Dr. S.V. Narasimhamurthy, for being and sharing their adorable knowledge. I also
After the vote of thanks, the participants will be allowed to ask questions. Please wait for 2 minutes. Jayamada, please continue.
Audio.
Thank you, sir. Pramadan from Bachebas College. Very nice presentation, sir. Very useful of you, me, sir. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making 5 days occasion as resounding success. I extend my sincere gratitude to our resourceful person, Dr. S.V. Narasimhamurthy, for being and sharing their adorable knowledge with us, sir. I also express my heartfelt thanks to our founder, Chancellor, Honorable President, ERACS Arun Kumar, for granting us an opportunity to conduct the CED FDP, and also I thank other dignitaries, especially Dean Dr. S. Manivannan, Joint Registrar Dr. S. Ramalingam sir, Deputy Dean Dr. V.N. Rajavarman, for their guidance and encouragement at the time of need have always motivated us to perform better. I am grateful to thank our participants for coming to attend the 5 days EDFDP, and also I thank the people who have given the precious time to submit their assignments. Till I must mention my deep sense of appreciation and gratitude to the professors, scholars from other colleges, other countries who have the part of share their ideas and made this 5-day national level EDFDP with blissful. Without your support and cooperation, this 5-day national level EDFDP was not succeed. Once again, I thank you all your cordial cooperation. Thank you. Now the time of interaction section. Participants, if you have any doubts and clarification, please ask one by one.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. I am Raja from Sivagasi, sir, Tamil Nadu. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay, sir.
Sir, the session was really good, sir. And actually, while I have been attending so many things, and while talking about this LSRW, people are really boring. But your session is so good, and especially the strategies for good listening, sir. It's a very good one, neatly arranged and logically presented, sir. And my sincere thanks to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. If at all I had a chance, definitely you would come to my college for a session, sir. Thank you.
Sure, sir. I'm very happy to share
So,
my
Narasimha
knowledge.
Yes, sir.
sir.
And really, it's a very nice presentation. After a very long time, I had a very good session with you, sir. Thank you so much. You definitely would be a great teacher, no doubt.
I will come to your college anytime, sir. Please.
Thank you, sir. Definitely, definitely. I will take your address to my principal, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Narasimha
Bye,
Murthy
sir.
sir,
Sir,
you
Dr.
have become,
Narasimhan, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
you have
Thank
become
you
very
so much,
famous.
sir. My heartfelt and sincere thanks to Dr. S.P. Narasimhan Murthy, sir. It was really an interesting and effective session. Actually, it is very useful and need of the hour, sir. We feel that hereafter we have to be an active listener and a skill which most of us lack during this time. And today we got to know how significant the art of listening is. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I also thank my beloved participants, in spite of their busy schedule, who made this present for 5 days of our national EFDP program. Thank you once again.
Hi,
If you have any questions, please continue.
yeah,
Yeah, if
this
you have
is
any
This
questions,
is
please
Sadiqul
participate.
Amin.
yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
This is
This is
Sadiqul
Shivendu
Amin from
Chakraborty.
Chennai.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
So one by
This
one,
is
Hello.
please.
Shivendu Chakraborty.
Is it voice is audible, sir? Hello.
Sir, Satikul Amin, sir. Continue, sir.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Sir. Sir, you made us to listen for more than 1 hour, sir. Thank you very much. Very, very informative session, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I have only one question to ask, sir.
Please.
Sir, my kid is 10 years old.
Ah.
What are the practice you can give for him to develop his listening skills, sir?
Sir, first and foremost, I was
Yes, sir.
speaking about intuitive listening, which
Yes,
we
sir.
call, in a common words, we call it meditation.
Yes, sir.
Meditation.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sir,
sir.
please sit with the child.
Okay.
Sit with the child. Practice
Yes, sir.
intuitive listening.
Yes, sir.
At least 10 minutes. 10 minutes is too much for a child, sir. You begin with
Okay, sir.
3 to 4 minutes. 3 to
Okay.
4 minutes. You can call it
Okay.
prayer. You can call it by any name. Okay?
Okay, sir.
You can
Okay.
start that and continue that intuitive listening. And when
Yes,
you
sir.
take him out, sir, when you take
Okay,
him out
sir.
to nature, ask him to close
Yes,
his
sir.
eyes and listen to the different sounds.
Okay, sir.
And then
Okay.
you should question him, sir. You should
Thank
question
you,
him,
sir.
and if you be able to make him speak,
Yes,
inshallah,
sir.
he'll definitely
Yes.
practice, will develop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Bye, sir. Bye.
Hello. Hi, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
This is
Sir, please.
yes. This is Shivendu Chakraborty from Kolkata.
Yes, I have been listening to you, sir. Tell me.
Yeah. Thank you for a brilliant presentation. We got to learn a lot of things regarding the listening skill and the different paraphernalias that we need to concentrate on while we shall be delivering our lecture and sort of motivating our students in future classes. But one thing I just want to learn from you. Now,
Please.
sir, what do you think, what kind of bearing or relevance or linkages can we build up between these effective listening skills and performance theories? Because while we talk about performance studies and performance theories, we concentrate a lot on the action of the characters who are on stage. But when we sort of change our attention towards the audience, who are very effective listeners, we need to understand the importance of listening theories and how these kind of listening skills can go on to make the performance studies a more comprehensive arena for us to sort of think about.
Sir, with reference to performance theories, sir, I am not a man of theories. I am a man of practice, and I don't, as a whole, I don't believe in theories. Since, it seems the question that you ask, it seems that you are a theater person. Please correct me if I am wrong. So here, what is what happens? The action takes over. Action, it blinds the words.
Yes,
So
sir.
it blinds the words, and we will be concentrating more on the action, the video, more than the audio. More than the audio. So we should train our children, especially I'll ask my students to listen to news. I'll give an assignment. Today, your assignment, listen to NDTV or any TV, English channel, and you should make some points. And you should come back. And at the same time, I will assign the same thing to different students. They will come out with that. No, sir, this is possible. This is possible only with practice, sir. Only with practice. As you said, performance theory, performance always, shadows the audio effect. Like great actors. Now, like for example, when you listen to great orators, you'll be paying attention to the words more than the action. But on stage, our intention is to watch the scene, the action more than the words. It overshadows sometimes. And you are right, sir. But we can tell them, we can tell our students, we can train ourselves to pay attention to the speech as well as the action.
Yes.
It depends on the intention, sir, the motive.
Yes.
Why are we there? Why are we there? Is it to watch or to listen? Sometimes both audio and visual, they go together.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, thank you.
Hello, sir. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Hemlata, madam. Please.
Actually, today we had an extraordinary and excellent session, sir. Definitely, we will not forget it. And your presentation was so logical and crystal clear, no doubt in it. And thanks a lot for giving this wonderful session for us. And I have only one question to ask, sir.
Please, ma'am.
What are the listening practice tasks you would like to suggest only to the beginners? Because students are at the beginners actually. We are the academicians. We know various levels to incorporate things, and we can improve ourselves. But here we have to focus more on the students. So, as a beginners, what are all the tasks you would like to suggest to the students to enhance the listening skills, sir?
Yeah, that's a very wonderful question, ma'am. To begin with, the problem I'll tell you, we have students from Kerala, students from Andhra. They'll resort to their local language. They'll start speaking to each other in their vernacular. I asked them, stop using that. And we have made groups in such a way. That one from Kerala, one from Tamil Nadu, one from Karnataka, and one from Andhra. So that, their common language will be English. And my task, for them is just listen. And I tell them, every teacher is an English teacher. Every teacher, whoever uses English is an English teacher for you. Just listen. Now, that's why I told you, whenever I give them some assignment of listening, like critical listening assignment, I'll give on mathematics, chemistry, physics, since we teach English to the first and second semester. Such tasks will be helpful them. Ask them to listen to news, ma'am. Most of our students, they'll get general knowledge as well as listening practice. Because news, there is nothing much interesting to watch. It's only to listen. Ask them to watch the news, and also TED Talks is another thing that I would suggest them. TED Talks. Very, very useful information is there. In fact, for our students, we have downloaded some 40 or 50 TED Talks and also YouTube videos on different situational expressions like apologizing and making requests, asking for permission, such things. We will ask them to listen. And when they are listening, we will tell them to concentrate only on listening things, all these things. And definitely some simple tasks. that is possible for them. See, for example, I'll ask one Andhra student to sit with one Kerala student, and they'll talk and they should listen to each other. Something that is possible, something that is feasible also. So you can begin with some simple tasks. Ask them to interview a teacher, and record that. Bring back and listen, which is possible very much. They can use their mobile phones for the recording. We have been doing such kind of activities in our university. All my colleagues are good at it, and they do that. It's funny also, but we do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answers. And also, I thank the organizers for their successful conduction of 5 days program. Thank you for the organizers. And thank you for providing space for us. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions, please, from the participant side? Dear participants, we are really, really grateful to you for being with us for all the 5 days and supporting us throughout the sessions. Thank you very much.
Arshini ma'am, please come on live. I want to thank you in particular. Arshini ma'am, you can use your video. Thank you very much for providing me an opportunity to interact with so many people. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you,
so nice of you.
Thank
So
you,
nice
sir.
of you. And I'm very grateful. Romba
Thank you,
nandri.
sir. Thank you.
Romba nandri. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, everybody. I would like to thank the whole team also. I would like to thank the whole team, your team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Excellent job.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
coming and accepting our invitation. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, ma'am. It's my pleasure. I think you're Julie, ma'am, if I'm right.
Yes, I'm Julie. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
To
you
all
very
the
much, sir.
participants also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Murthy sir, very kind of you.
Anjaneyulu sir.
Very kind of you, sir. Very kind of you. Nice presentation.
You are the person behind the connection
Nothing, sir.
between me
Nothing.
and Ruchini, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you, Anjaneyulu,
Very kind
sir.
of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Anjaneyulu, sir, thank you very much
Thank you, madam.
for bringing a wonderful person for the session today.
Nothing, madam.
Session.
Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Arshini ma'am, one request. Arshini ma'am,
Yes,
can you
sir.
send me the recording of this? Because my daughter wants it in US.
Yes, sir. Sure,
Yes,
sir.
sure, sir.
Sure. We will give you, sir.
Once
Sure.
I uploaded in YouTube, I'll send you the link, sir.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this must be, is it Mrudula ma'am? Thank you.
Dear participants, one important thing I want to share with you. The YouTube video will be shared in the group as well as in the mail. You can see, watch and get benefited if you had any problem in watching the presentation of today. And regarding the certificates, we will be giving you certificates in another, by either today or tomorrow. In another 2 days, the certificate distribution work will be over. Every one of you will be getting the certificate. Okay. So
Thank you,
if anyone else wants to give feedback, Madhramani ma'am, how are you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Fine, ma'am. What about you?
Yeah, ma'am. Nice, ma'am. How did you feel the FDP for 5 days?
Ma'am, really, it's very thought-provoking, and thank you so much because you are the person who's behind me informing about these 5 days. Thanks a lot. And each and every speakers, they did their sessions really wonderful. Thank you, sir. Today it's really awesome. And it's traditional presentation today. Thank you so much. It's nice and great listening to you, sir. And special thanks to MGR for selecting you, opting you for the session. Nice being with you. Even staying at home, you are getting connected because of MGR, and especially because of Dr. Harshini. Thank you, Dr. Harshini, for this.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Anyone else? You can all come and give your feedbacks, please. Because this is the time for all of us to be connected.
Madam, Arshini Madam, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. You have taken much pains and you have seen that all the things are possible this way for the last 5 days. We have been very much thoroughly benefited through the lectures you have arranged. Thank you so much. We will be in touch with you in future.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
A special thanks to Anjaneyulu sir, because he's a person who made me to get connected with MGR. And
Yes,
thanks
yes.
to Mr. Anjaneyulu and Dr. Harshini once again.
Yes, definitely, ma'am, definitely. Anyone else, please? Okay.
Hello, ma'am. This is Professor Saravanan from Nanda Engineering College, E Road. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, at this juncture, I would like to
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
thank you all.
Hello, Arshini, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Arshini, ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session for all the 5 days.
Thank you,
Really,
ma'am.
we are lucky that we could be connected to all these 5 eminent personalities. And really, I must thank your whole team that you have really a wonderful effort from your side. And very great job, Arshini, ma'am. Thank you so much. And really, we were benefited from this lectures and workshops.
Thank you, Ruby, ma'am.
Madam Arshini ma'am, one more request. And after this COVID is lifted, if you are going to conduct any online seminars or conferences, let all the participants know that we will be meeting again. It will be very useful to us. Please keep this advice in your mind.
Sure, sir.
Sure, definitely we will inform you, sir. We have an idea of conducting one more webinar. Definitely we will inform you.
Julie, madam.
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
please bear in mind that if you are going to conduct any seminar, national, international conferences in English, particularly, so that the in English will be benefited across the country. And so, thank you so much.
Sir,
Thank you.
sure. We have a plan, sir. We will inform you shortly, sir.
Definitely. We are quite happy to be associated with you, MGR.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Maybe.
Thank you so much once again, Arshini, ma'am, and your whole team for providing Ashya, ma'am, Ajay Madan, ma'am, Julie Elizabeth, ma'am, presenting with such wonderful, great personalities for the 5-day session.
Thank you, Ruby, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And we look forward, ma'am, in the future also we could get a lecture like this. Really, it's a wonderful for all of us, for all the teaching faculties. And my special thanks to Chandrasena, ma'am, also, and everyone who is behind of this workshop. Great job, ma'am. Excellent job.
Thank you so much, Ruby, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So.
I thank all the participants. So hope in future we will meet again.
Nassima ma'am, sir, come jara bol de. Hello, sir. Speaker. Hello, sir. I'm Ruby Elizabeth.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Sir, it was really a very wonderful session, sir. Very useful, very interesting. And sir, one question, sir, from my side, that even though we prepare, we want further prepare, we want to make, but they don't listen, sir, effectively. So can you make the students listen? What the easy way how to make them listen effectively in the class?
There is some disturbance. I'm not able to get your question.
Is it audible? Hello, sir? Speaker, sir?
There is a very clear disturbance in the background. But you can ask me, ma'am. Now, 1 second, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can ask.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My question, sir, it was a very wonderful session, very effective and useful topic, sir, really. And so my question to you is, sir, how hard we prepare for the lecture, but still we find that our students are not ready to listen to our lectures. So we feel disappointed. So is there any easy way where we can make our students listen, the first years or the second years, the students? Any easy way, sir?
One method that I have been using, I'll give my own example.
Okay, sir.
First thing, most of us, we do not go to the back benches. We don't go to the back benches. I would like to keep, that's what I do. I'll keep moving. While teaching, I'll keep moving the whole class. Fortunately, our classrooms are very big, spacious. We can go to all the corners, and in between the aisles and also in the center, I keep moving. That is one thing. And second thing, I'll be observing the whole class. If I find that there will be some groups through 2 to 3, 4 people who will be engaging in busily engaging, and there'll be, as I told body present, mind absent. I will definitely ask them questions. I'll ask them questions. I'll just point out one of them and I'll ask questions, they'll become alert. But these things, we cannot go on continuously doing this. But, so the moment they come to know that I am observing, teacher is observing, definitely they'll try to be at least, they'll fake listening. They may not listen.
Okay.
Arshini madam, will you permit me to log out? And thank you very much. And I would like to thank the whole Department of English, your team, and I hope that we will meet soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, shall we leave the meeting? Thank you very much, everyone. I think Akshay ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we will proceed with sharing the link and the YouTube video in the group, and later we'll work on with the certificate. Okay.